chariot in historical understanding. The Sinavli chariot is a groundbreaking discovery in Indian history, which proves that chariots existed in India around 2000 BCE, challenging earlier theories. Its burial practices bridge the gap between the Harappan period and the early Vedic periods. Today, we are happy to have with us Dr. Sanjay Kumar Manjul sir, who brings to us a load of knowledge and expertise regarding this topic. Dr. Sanjay Kumar Manjul sir, Additional Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, is a distinguished archaeologist whose contributions have greatly enriched our understanding of India's past. Dr. Manjul sir has led multiple excavations across India, including groundbreaking work at Hastinapur and Sinavli. His expertise extends to key sites such as Rakigari, Farmana, and Purana Kila, where his research has provided invaluable insights into the Harappan civilization and prehistoric cultures. His leadership in the excavation of Sinavli led to the discovery of India's first ever horse-driven chariots, along with copper swords, revolutionizing our knowledge of ancient warfare and society. Beyond excavations, he plays a crucial role in conservation of centrally protected monuments across northeast India, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. His contributions continue to shape archaeological research and preservation efforts in India. We are privileged to have him with us today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sanjay Kumar Manjul sir. As we move forward with this session, I now request Dr. Sanjay Kumar sir to take over the session.
Very good morning, everybody. It's a really privilege to be here to talk about particularly the new discoveries and new thought shaping Indian archaeology, in fact, nowadays. Thank you very much to organizer for inviting me to talk about excavation at Sanoli particularly. Actually, I was prepared to talk about the Harappan civilization, but I think the previous speaker, like Professor Sinde and all that, they have already talked about the Harappan civilization, or we can call Indus Saraswati civilization. I was working last 4 years in Rakigadi after Sanoli excavation. So I discover a lot in Rakigadi of new, which has given the new perspective for understanding of Indus Saraswati civilization. I'll talk you later about the Rakigadi excavation or Rakigadi understanding. Particularly, we got 3-4 things very new and very interesting, like true stadium at Rakigadi. That's the oldest stadium of the world, I can say, the true stadium. But earlier in Dholavira, we have some evidence of a stadium, but that is not having the proper seating arrangement. But here in Rakigadi, we have a proper true stadium. And also, Rakigadi only a site where, particularly in the plain region, along with the Saraswati and their tributaries, we don't have any evidence how they have done the water management, etc. We got man-made water body at Rakigadi. And also we got the early dates like 6000, right from the 6000 BCE to 1900 BCE at Rakigadi. That's a very, very interesting area to understand, apart from the early excavation at by Professor Dr. Nath, and after that Professor Sinde. And also I took furthermore to Rakhigadi for better understanding of the Indus Saraswati settlement and their society, their other activities and social structure, etc., which are not understood properly in early excavation at many of the site. Now, this excavation, particularly Sinoli, is not very far from the river ancient Saraswati or Ghaggar-Hakra channel, or the other tributaries like Drisodvati, now called Chautang. It's around 200 or 250 kilometer from Rakhigadi, but the aerial distance is much less. In between the river Yamuna, it's a site, Sinoli is located the 7 kilometer from present Yamuna. You all know the big river Yamuna, or next. The site excavated twice, one by Dr. D.B. Sharma in 2005-06, and after that's a long excavation at that time, around 12-month excavation, and they got many interesting things at Sinoli. 116 burial they have reported at Sinoli excavation in 2005-06, and also some new things like copper sword and other thing reported in Sinoli. But that time they try to understand that they may be either the confluence or the meeting with copper hoard culture and also the Harappan culture or late Harappan culture. But they have also suggested at that time the date is 2100 BCE to 1900 BCE in his report, an article. Now, in 2018, we have started again that area excavation, and fortunately, in the one trench itself of 10 by 10 meter trench, we got many interesting evidence at that trench itself, including a lot of new element which has not reported in any of the excavation of the subcontinent. We all know it's right from Delhi. It's around 65 to 70 kilometer away from the Delhi itself. This site, Sinoli, it's a small village at Bagpat, district Bagpat. Next. What is the contribution of Sinoli? It's a pointer. We got the war chariot, 3 chariot we got in the excavation, and then a copper decorated shield. We got the shield there, and also the early excavation, they got the shield, but they have not identified that this is shield. Because of a lot of different technique we adopted in the excavation, then we come across that this is not any other thing, this is shield. I'll show you some of the slide what we have done. And another interesting finding is along with the war chariot, there is whip and torch. So this is called a total package of the warriors, or then antenna sword with hilt. Hilt is very important because the early findings in anywhere of copper hoard, particularly shield, without hilt. So that time the Yule and other scholars suggested that this is not usable at all because it's a long and there is no proper hilt to hold this. So this may be the ritualistic purpose, etc. So that's not, but when we got with hilt, so every set parameters to have this is not usable, that broke down entirely. And another interesting finding is bow. Impression of bow along with uh, 5 arrowheads, bone arrowheads, and also the copper helmet, and the unique coffin burial. The coffin burial is legged one, like a cot, and the entire coffin is decorated with two things. One with the copper seething in all around the body of the coffin, and also decorated in the leg or four legs. So that's a fully decorated inside and outside both. So that's another unique finding. And another interesting area that's below the ground level, half below the ground level, and maybe the superstructure of wooden, that's a sacred chamber, where they put maybe they put the entire coffin, or they put the dead body to do some rituals, etc., in that sacred chamber. And the faience and copper pots, miniature copper pots we got, the and also the faience pot is also solitary example. And then we also identify the habitational area where we got the multiple furnaces. So that's actually the summary of the pointer of this excavation. And all this finding is solitary example. In anywhere we don't have this type of example. Why we don't have this type of example? That's a question. Because in early excavation also we got almost everything in early excavation in 2005-6, but due to the excavation technique and also the modern technology, they have not identified actually these things which are there in that excavation also. Nowadays also some excavation is going on in nearby the Sanoli excavation, but the same problem persists. So this need the rigorous excavation process, and also use of a modern technique which is available in the many of the places, particularly how to use the other equipment also, which is not meant for for archaeology, like X-ray technique, or MRI, or 3D scanning, etc. So that is not meant actually for the archaeology, but that can be used in archaeology very well. Next. The Sanoli findings, whether it's related to OCP or copper hoard culture, you all know a little bit of OCP and copper hoard culture, because copper hoard culture getting lot of copper implement or copper things in hoard, particularly in one and another place. So that's named as a copper hoard. And then the pottery along with the copper hoard called OCP, ochre color pottery. And then so some scholars in earlier they try to understand whether this culture is related to Harappan culture, or they are different culture in a different location, like Upper Ganga, Yamuna, Doab, because the Harappan mainly confined in the Saraswati, Disotwati, etc. But even in Yamuna Valley, the lot of evidence of Harappan contact or Harappan remains is as also excavated earlier, like Hulas and other place. And that time they called the late Harappan people. but that has the indigenous development, particularly at simultaneous development, whether the Harappan in one side and the other Chalcolithic culture in another location, a geographical location. Next. So after this finding, there is a lot of debate started whether this finding is related to Vedic culture, this finding related to the copper hoard culture, this finding related to the Harappan culture. So there is lot of debate started. And also the another debate started that whether it's a horse driven chariot or whether it's a cart. This is not a chariot. So this debate is also started. And also another debate is started about the DNA, etc., which findings at Rakhigadi, and also the we got 2 DNA at Sinoli. So this debate is very, very important because this finding set a right in early entire theory which is already built in long 100 years about the Harappan and then late Harappan and then Iron Age, etc. So there is parallel development in various regions along with the Harappan itself. So because we got the date of this area around 2600 BCE to 1800 BCE. But as per the archaeological remains, we try to understand whether it's a 2600 BCE is contaminated or not. So we accepted the date of 2300 BCE to 1800 BCE. But we got the date early dates also. But because stylistically and also the development phase that clearly denote, and also the contact between Harappan material, they suggest that this is not as early as 2600 BCE. So safely we accepted 2100 to 1800 BCE. So yes, the chariot date may goes back to around 2000 BCE. So that's a really breakthrough because earlier we know that we are not having the chariot, we are not having the good weaponry in Harappan civilization, and also we are not having this type of many things related to the warfare, etc. So this finding actually changed our mindset that yes, we have everything which is mentioned in the Vedas or the later epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana, etc. The everything, all that text having the common feature like the warrior. Even in the Vedas or the other text in entire. So that's a very, very interesting debate started. So that is the reason a lot of other scholars try to prove that this is not a chariot, this is a cart, bullock cart. But it's a very, very absurd debate that it's a cart, because nobody put the cart in the burial. No, and also the shape and size is not like a cart. Cart having the different structure, but the chariot having the different structure. Next. This is the location of Yamuna and the distribution of the site. Within the Ganga and Yamuna, there is 2 other small river also. There are tributaries of Yamuna. Next. This is the aerial view. You can see the village and some of the water body, and you can also see our camp from the top. So entire land is totally alluvial plain, having the flat land. So there is no contour here and there. So almost the flat land. Next. This is the excavation view. So we got 10, but we have excavated 10 burial only at the site, and along with the pit and some other thing, and also the variety of the burials, the partial burial, the extended burial, and also the symbolic burial. So we got the variety of the burials. Next. Next. Yeah, you can see the burial number 1. We got one horn comb also here. You can see in the left side the comb, the beautiful made comb, and then top of the comb is the bull figurine at the top. A stylized bull, and also semi-precious stones, and dish on a stand, very close to the stylistically in the Harappan also, but the shape is little different from the Harappan character. And also the copper weapon, like very thin copper weapon, like blade sword, I can say, and also the good amount of pottery offered in the burial itself. This is the burial number 1, the female burial, around 35 age. Next. It's a common height. That is not a big one. It's a very common height, 5'3", 5'4", etc. But the male is little, but it's a common height. This is not an extraordinary height. Next, this is another burial number 3. You can see clearly it's a cot-like structure, and then legs are there, and green one is the copper sheathing all around in the leg, and also the structure all around having the very thin copper sheathing. The plating, like in the temple itself, you are having the door, the carving, and then putting some either in the gold or silver plate at the top. The similar case in this coffin also, they put the copper sheet all around the structure, like here also, the inside also, and then leg also having the copper sheathing all around. And we got the chariot also. You can see the one of the wheel of the chariot. This is the inside view of the wheel. The outside also having the same decoration. So you can see the triangular one, the triangle, and the hub of the wheel, and then a triangle decoration. Triangle is copper inlaid in the wood, but wood is totally decomposed. But due to the copper, we are getting the entire shape of the wheel. So it's really a challenging excavation, because every time the vertical digging, particularly cleaning this thing, is very, very difficult in excavation. So that is the reason most of the excavation we are doing horizontal digging at that time, and we are getting only the artifacts like the copper and etc. But understanding of the whole shape, it's sometimes it's a very, very difficult. So that is the reason it's a path breaking excavation also, to improve our understanding how to do excavation in each site having its own problem, and accordingly we have to change our mindset for the excavation also. Next. This is the top view. You can see the shield, the beautiful shield having the copper inlay at the top, and the torch, and also one sword along with that, and helmet, and then coffin, and also the variety of pot offered in the burial. So entire, and also the chariot, two wheel, and below that we got the pole also of pole of the chariot. So this is the whole package you can see in one excavation. So that is the reason we call this is the burial of warrior, because everything is there, shield, helmet, sword, torch, chariot, everything is there. So there is we can call the warrior grave. Next. This is the drawing, how we try to understand the original one, and then original drawing and converted into the offering, how they have offered actual view, a conjectural view. Next. Similarly, in one of the burial, we don't have any corporeal remains of any of the skeleton or any of the dead body, but we got some little bit of bones in the pot itself, and you can see the two sword along with the copper channel, and also the pots at this place. So this is another very, very interesting, maybe this is the symbolic burial. We got along with the hilt, one hilt in the sword, antenna sword. Next. This is the antenna sword along with the hilt. Hilt also having the copper binding at the top and the wood. So this is the reconstruction and the drawing, actual drawing of the hilt, and the sword also with measurement and etc. And then in situ photograph. Next. This is another interesting burial, coffin burial. So this is the top of the coffin. The top of the coffin, we got this anthropomorphic figure at the top, like the temple door, etc. And then high relief carving at the top. And then after high relief carving in the wood, they put the copper sheathing at that carving. So with and tie with the very, very tiny nails in all around to put the copper at the top. And also we got the side wall. There is floral design at all the side wall of the coffin, and that has also the copper sheathing all around. Inside of this coffin, possibly we have the extended burial only because, but it's a very difficult to expose, because we have to destroy this the top carving, etc. Then we have to open the entire inside, but we have the evidence of a skull, some part at the top, and also the this bone, collarbone at that. So then we understand, yes, the entire coffin having at least one skeleton inside. And this coffin is little large, 8.5 feet large coffin. At the header side, we have the space of around 1.5 around 12 or 16 inch area. This is elevated one. So we assume that some of the offering inside of header side also there inside, but still we have not excavated yet, because we are exploring that if any technology is there to scan inside of a skeleton and inside material, then that is because this is the unique one. So we are not destroying this at that time. And also what we have done to just lift all those, the entire chunk, and got it to the Institute of Archaeology for further research. So this is a big risk also, and also this is very good for the future examination. So we are not hurried to do everything by me itself. So anybody in the future technology, they will do those things. So that consciousness is very important for any of the archaeologists, not to do everything yourself. If you have the technology, okay. If you don't have the technology, explore the possibility without how to do the without destroying the unique evidence which is unparalleled in any of the excavation of Indian subcontinent. Next. Uh, so after a little bit excavation at both the site, you can see each and everything documented with the contour, smaller contour also, to understand how the coffin decompose. So that's a very crucial one. Next. We got one very interesting pot. It's like a chalice. So the base of the pot having one turtle design of copper, solid copper turtle design. And this is the side wall decoration. You can see the floral design. And also we got the decoration in the one of the leg, beautiful decoration and copper pot, etc. And also the chest shield. Also we got in this along with this coffin burial. Next. This is the reconstruction of and this burial itself, we got one chariot and the whip, along with whip also in this sorry, we got two chariot back to back in this burial itself. So this is very rich burial, and also we got the gold beads, etc. And also one we can say stick. It's a like a dand. So we got also in this burial, along with this burial, the top of the stick is made of alloy of gold and silver. So that's another very interesting finding in this particular burial. Next. This is a reconstruction of the burial. The two chariot we got back to back, and now this is going to be displayed in the National Museum because anybody can see the chariot. That is very soon you will see in the National Museum, Delhi. This chariot we have already given to National Museum for display in the public. Next. This is another very interesting finding, the storage pot, etc. maybe having some kind of liquid, because at the top the lid is fixed like a sealed one. And also the breakage pattern suggests that this may contain some liquid. After removing this, we also got the evidence of decomposed liquid. And another interesting finding is the cat burial. For the first time we got the cat burial also any of the excavation. So this is the cat burial. Actually two individual buried here of cat. One individual we got almost every bone, and another individual we got a little bit of bone of another individual. Next. This is twin burial, secondary burial. You can see the bones are together, and then they put in the one box and put it into the burial. Next. This is the sacred chamber, and another two burial. You can see the whole skeleton and also the offering pottery. Next. Yes, at this area we got the evidence of bow and the bone points like arrow. Next. This is another view. Next. Next. Yeah, you can see the burial number 9, how we try to reconstruct and for the common people, the offering, etc., and then arrangement of the burial. You can see here in the shield, etc. The next. This is the actual excavations view. You can see the statite inlay in the shield as well as in the coffin burial. The all female burial having the decoration is entirely different. The male burial having the copper decoration, but the female burial having very intricate carving and the inlay of statite one, the round, triangle, and a small. So that's really very interesting to see how they have done the intricate carving and the inlay work in the wood also. So I can say this is the example. If we got the entire everything without any disturbance, so this is one of the finest example of the world of making the wooden carving, etc. Next. Yeah. Yeah. In the female burial also we have the sword, and but sword is different kind of sword, particularly in the blade sword, lightweight sword, etc. We got, and also bow and arrow in the female burial also. Next. This is the sacred chamber, where the entire structure is below the ground level. So, and then superstructure may be with the wood, etc. But the inside chamber is almost 8.5 feet, which is you can fit a large coffin inside and do some rituals. Next. So we try to do the demo also at the site. So this is the model thing carrying the dead body. So this can fit into the inside of the chamber. Next. And let's come to the debate of the chariot. I think we have time. Debate of the chariot. So the cart versus chariot, you can see the shape. The cart having the different kind of a structure, square or rectangular, but the chariot having the D-shaped chassis. Next. Next. This is the view of the chariot. You can see the chassis and also the attachment of the pole and the wheel, and then a hub also. So this is the view of the chariot. Next. The back-to-back two chariot, you can see here the two chariot, both having and also the attachment for the chhatras or umbrella. Next. Another view, you can see the back-to-back chariot, the wheel of that chariot and wheel of this chariot. So they put two chariot along with back-to-back. Next. The top view, you can see the chassis and other attachment in situ. Next. This is the reconstruction. So you can see the actual reconstruction of the chariot and the whole component of the chariot also, and also the drawing of the chariot to better understand how look like the chariot. Next. Actually, at that initial stage, maybe not the four-wheel. Unlikely the Ur, etc., having the four-wheel chariot, but this is not a true chariot because it's a look like a cart, the four-wheel, etc. Why four-wheel? Four-wheel is not faster than two-wheel, very faster. but four wheel is not like that. So war chariot always having two wheel, but in Indian context, the cart is also having the two wheel, not four wheel. Four wheel may be the very late development in Indian context. So this is the structure of the chariot. The everything is decorated with the copper. You can see the triangle decoration in the pole, and then wheel also, and all structure having the copper sheathing, etc. In the pole and the other thing. Next. This is the design of the chariot's pole. Next. This is the design of the wheel, how they have designed everything very meticulously, and then the colored one is copper. We got this. Next. This is the drawing during excavation. So we try to do everything in situ at that side also, with the entire measurement, etc. So for the future reconstruction and drawing. So this is myself try to do the drawing, measurement, etc. at the site. Next. You can see. Yeah. The triangle is actually inlaid, the copper inlay. They have done inlay in the wheel, wheel, and also in the pole. The copper inlay all around in the wood. Next. Next. This is the difference of cart and chariot. You can see yourself the difference of cart and chariot. Next. This is IBC, Harappan civilization. You can see the variety of design of the wheel, and also the variety of the frame of the cart. So this is entirely different from the chariot. Next. This is the chariot measurement of entire chariot. You can see after standing over the chariot how look like, and also the statistic of the chariot from right from top to bottom, and also you can see the human figure at the ground and also at the top. So what we try to understand, how the war chariot can work in the war. So whether the visibility, how much of visibility of another enemies, etc. at the top, and how if you stand on the chariot, the whole area at the chariot and other area, how that look like. So we try to analyze in various way to understand the chariot. Next. This is the whip of the chariot. We got. Next. This is the parallel you can see in the world chariot. The earliest one in Ur excavation, the drawing, you can see the four wheel. It's a look like a cart carried out with the mule, and also the Hittite chariot and the Roman, etc. in the very late, all the chariot of the world you can see, and then Egyptian chariot, Roman chariot, etc. So the structure wise, it's a very close to each other, even in the Sonoli chariot, but it's a early date than this chariot of Sonoli chariot. So you can see very clear development of chariot. This has the four spoke, and then multiple spoke also in the later one, and then earlier one is the solid wheel chariot, maybe along with the spoke chariot also at that time. So this that is the another one. This is little late of after 1800 BC to 600 or 400 BC also, and then Roman chariot is very late in 1st, 2nd century AD also. At the same time we have also the similar chariot. Next. Uh, uh, this is the parallel you can see, the Daimabad chariot. I will speak in Daimabad chariot later on, because it's a misconception that this is the bull chariot, because both the things is entirely different. This is not found along with that. So at that time they put together and done the photograph. So this is the very interesting problem arises after that, and lot of articles that creating that problem. This is the bull chariot, but this is not a bull chariot. The full paper is coming up very soon about the actual fact of Daimabad chariot. So I'll speak later on. The next. You can see the shield all around the world, and the similar type of shield is also in other parallel in Egypt and Hittite and other area also you can see. Next. In the same time, around 400 BCE to 600 BCE, we have also a little developed form of the chariot in the same structure. So there is no change of the structure, but only the developed form in the wheel, like a spoke wheel, and also the little bit of bigger size in 5th and 6th century BCE. So this is from Bodh Gaya. And that is from the Nepal, one of the site, and other Sanchi and other. You can see the chariot. There is no much change in right from the 2000 BCE to the AD. So only development in the wheel and a little bit of size, but not much change. Next. Yeah. That is not spoked. Next. So these are the, you can see the shield structure of another shield also. The variety of shield, one having earlier excavation, the arrowhead like this, the parallel of each other. This is copper inlay one. This is also inlaid, and also second one having statite inlay, and that is also having the checker pattern of copper. So these are the variety of shield we got, and recently at Tilwara, another variety we got in the excavation. You can go into the Instagram, and that is a photograph is there. That is the bigger one of rectangular shape shield having the weaving of copper at the top. Next. This is the after MRI, after CT scan, we got the entire structure of, this is the original one, this is the result of CT scan, and we try to reconstruct like this. So this is the understanding how to do understanding of these things and interpretation of original one. Next. This is the, you can see the gold object also, the gold bead, and also the stick top in that, and this is the mirror and comb along with one of the burial. We got mirror and comb also. Next. You can see the impression below the mirror, that is the matte impression. So they have not put in the ground itself, they put the matte below that, and then they put everything for the offering. Next. This is the mirror and comb, a variety of mirror and comb. Next. This is the habitational area. We got a lot of furnaces. Everything is there in Institute of Archaeology. One can see, one can research on that. Next. These are the pottery. Next. How we have done the new experiment to lift all those things to the lab or for the museum display. So this is the process we have adopted to cut the huge area in situ without any disturbance, and preserve it, and then carry from the south a site and brought it to Delhi. And nowadays you can see in Institute of Archaeology everything in situ as we have excavated at the site itself. Next. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, whip is the wooden structure and having the copper all around in the whip. But the leather strip is already decomposed. But the where they put the leather strip, that socket is there. Next. Yeah. Actually, everything is ritual. In fact, if you see the process, entire process of the burial, that itself tell the many things, how they have offered, and how their belief in the second life in the heaven. So that ritual, you can the present ritual also in the same everywhere. If you see after death and all that, after cremation and all that, the everything is nowadays also we are doing, like offering of cot, offering of cloth, offering of food of to the Brahmins. The same thought, same thought in that time also. Only thing, a little bit of process change, but the thought process is same. Actually, they have prepared the pit and then put the plain ground and put some kind of mat below, and then put some offering, and then coffin burial, dead body, and performing some rituals. After that, they put the mud over it, and maybe the another encasing like wooden encasing, etc., for making tumuli.
And you find most of the burial sites horizontally lying or seated position. Nowadays, if you are
No, it's a horizontally lying, north south orientation, little bit tilted of 10 degree to 20 degree of orientation. That is actually prevailing in Harappan burial also, and also the Sanoli burial. Orientation is same as the Harappan burial and the Sanoli burial. No seated one. No seated one.
Size is any standard you observe in the burial size?
No, it's a vary. The coffin is vary. It's depend upon particularly. I think if the symbolic burial is there, the coffin is a smaller one. If the entire extended burial is there, the coffin size is bigger one, like in the whole body. So there is no 100% standard size, but in all three coffin burial which we got the extended burial, the two is almost identical size and shape, the female burial, but the male burial having the little bigger one, like 8.5 feet long, but other thing is almost same.
So that whose came late to India. Okay, that is what we have learned in history text. So now the date is going back, and the proof is saying that whose was there earlier also.
Yeah.
And the story is that the narrative is that the whose came from the steppe people of Aryans when they invaded India.
Yeah.
So can you explain?
Actually, the if you see the earlier theory about the Aryan migration, earlier the Aryan invasion, then Aryan migration, etc., and also if you see the date of the Vedas and then Vedic people is after Harappan civilization around 1500 BC, etc. And then earlier thought that we don't have the chariot, we don't have the weapons, etc. Chariot came from uh, 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 the west, along with the hilly region to this Indian subcontinent, and then everything got developed, etc. And all Vedic narrative like the warrior, etc. But now we have the evidence of each and every evidence very clearly denote that whatever we have in the Vedic literature, even in the later Vedic literature, the everything is there in our excavation. So, particularly, chariot will change the entire theory. We have the chariot developed well before the other chariot of the world. So, this is the oldest chariot, physical evidence of the chariot of the world. So, we don't have any physical remains in the parallel of any other so that clearly says if the developed chariot having lot of inlay etc. decoration, it shows that below at least 100 years before that we have the chariot. So if this chariot is dated back to 1900 BCE, then you can very clearly understand at least 100 years before we have the chariot. Another interesting thing, if you see the parallel understanding of Indian knowledge system making the cart and the chariot, we have already two-wheel balance system. Unless in the Mesopotamia having four-wheel cart and chariot, we have the two-wheel balancing system even in the cart of Indus Valley. So there is no much change in technology, only change in the chassis itself. Nothing changed. So that's very clearly shows the gradual development of indigenous development of chariot, not coming from here and there. So technique is already there, technology is already there in the cart, in the same technique, same balancing system in the cart. So nothing much change, only the chassis, change of the chassis and size. So that very clearly denote that the indigenous development of the chariot here itself, and also development of other weapons and all that, because we are getting a large number of weapons here and there, thousands of weapons here and there in entire Ganga Valley. So that also shows that we have the technology very well around 2000 or even earlier than that. So this the whole theory which is mentioned in our textbook is not valid now, in fact. Thank you. Okay, sure, sure.
A village kind of settlement. So, is it true or what is
The right, so we have the panel discussion. So I'll take your question in the panel. So as requested by the organizer. So I'll take your questions, sure.
Due to time constraint, we can have our questions during our panel discussion. Thank you all for your enthusiastic participation, and thank you, sir, for your patient approach. We will have a break for 5 minutes. So the participants can use the back door for the break, and students from Department of Sociology can wait for 5 minutes.
over a century. Mr. Yagnadevam's groundbreaking research has resulted in the publication of 4 new non-peer-reviewed research papers shedding new light on the deciphering of the Indus script. Today, Mr. Yagnadevam sir will share his insight on deciphering the Indus script as a cryptogram. This ancient script, comprising over 400 symbols, has resisted being deciphered despite numerous attempts. By treating the script as a cryptogram, researchers can unlock its secrets, revealing hidden patterns and structures. Through this innovative approach, we can gain valuable insights into the language and culture of the Indus Valley civilization, which is about 4,000 years old. We are honored to have him share his expertise with us today. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Yagnadevam, our distinguished speaker for today. I request Sir to take out the session.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you to the conference for inviting me. Very happy to be here. I was in Madras in December. Hopefully next time I will be there. I will present in person. So the title of the talk is Language of the Indus Script. The actual deciphering is pretty involved mathematically, and I have given talks on that for audiences that understand the math very well. So here we will try to we will go over that, but we will mostly focus on the actual language and the contents and so on. So essentially, if you guys are in the Indus conference, you're mostly familiar with the timeline. The Indus civilization starts very early, more than 7,000 BC ago in Virana, and then Rakhigarhi. But in the beginning, there are no writings. There are no inscriptions. It is just the starting of settling down into various little settlements. The first signs of writing we see in 4000 BCE. We see pottery shards with the Indus signs, but unfortunately they're not enough to be read. They're all in 1 or 2 pieces with 1 or 2 signs. It is just very the sample size is too small to do anything with it, even to analyze the structure. We also get the first seals in 4000 BCE, and it's 2 black books, which is kind of a symbol of India, like it's like a Krishna Murga. And we sporadically we see 1 or 2 inscriptions, and with the first one we see around 3000 BC in Tigirana, and then in the mature phase we start seeing a lot more. That is the green thing in the center. And after the mature phase, the inscriptions fall off in the archaeological record. You get 1 and 2 here and there. In Janapada coins, we start seeing the symbols. In Kirari, which is also in Tamil Nadu, recently they found a lot of symbols, but still nothing readable because it's on pottery shards. No long inscriptions, although there are long Brahmi inscriptions. And Tamil Nadu government is doing really good work, doing archaeology in various places. I hope someday they also do underwater archaeology, because I think there may be a lot more interesting things hidden down there. The last seal we see is sometime around 100 BC in Vaishali. It's a Janapada, and there is a seal which has a Indus inscription, which is very popular, which is very numerous in the old in the mature phase. So the inscriptions, the other presenters have probably shown a few of these, and they are on a lot of different kinds of material. So the big square thing you see is a statite seal, and you see the nice printed characters on top. That is because this is a much more advanced seal where they have taken care to space the characters. You see, it's a long seal, but the spacing is even. It's sort of like typeset almost. And you see that icon of the unicorn and so on. So it's a very highly artistic, highly developed artifact. There are seals with the lesser polish or the lesser sophistication also in different locations. You also have inscriptions on inscribed tablets, bas relief tablets. So bas relief just means it's a little higher. So inscribed is written in, like it's scratched out. Bas relief is the outer surface is scratched to create a raised inscription. And you see these on all kinds of materials. You see it on the Dolavere signboard, which I haven't shown here, which is actually on it's a big one, visible from a distance. You have writing on bangles and a dagger here shown here in the center. And you have it on a variety of materials. So I have also shown a silver seal. So in other words, the script was not something specialized, it was general. It was also written on pottery, and it was written on post-fired pottery. So when something comes on post-fired pottery, it means the general public is writing it. It's not a specialized class of writers who are, because they would do it on a pre-fired pottery. So yes, you can say that the civilization was literate. Now, of course, it's not 100% literacy, because even 100 years ago, the literacy rate was not that high, but there were sufficient literate people. Now, if you look at the earliest signs on the left, you see the graffiti that was found in Balakot. And you see they're all tiny pieces. There's nothing to read. You don't have adjacencies. You don't have two symbols next to each other that you can try to figure out what they could be. And over time, so from 4000 to about 2600, that's 1400 years. By then the script has standardized, and on the right you see that is the Harappa period 3A. This is the earliest set of symbols. There are only 71. And you see there's no conjunct symbols. There is no strings of symbols that make up the 417 signs that was proposed by Mahadevan. Okay, so this is essentially the core signs, and other signs are possibly variants that were introduced later. So some people raised the question: is it really language, or could it be, could the symbols be some kind of logo of a company, maybe diagrams that represent different gods or something else? It could be in the center you see there's something called the heraldry. Those are signs that represent a royal person, or a person of a feudal organization, of a feudal society. And there are stylistic rules that describe how they should be laid out. Could it be something like that, or could it be like totem figures on the right? You see where there is a kind of structure. The thing with the wings is near the top, and so on. Could it be just something that's not a language? And so that was one of the questions that was raised. And we know from mathematics that it is a language, because when you say something like this, that it's similar to these heraldry signs. The heraldry signs have essentially infinite entropy. Let me describe what that means. It means that you can go against the stylistic rules and it will still function. You can still display that flag. People will recognize that flag. When you go to, you can go to war with that flag, it will still work. And you cannot look at one and predict what the next one will be. Whereas in writing, if you look at one symbol, you know that the next one, 30% of the time is going to be this symbol, 10% is going to be the other symbol, and so on. When you cannot assign those probabilities, that means there are infinite states, all transitions are valid, and essentially infinite entropy. So essentially it's purely random, okay? The key is that all arrangements are functional, whereas in language, there are sequences of strings that are possible, and only a small fraction are valid, and you will understand it. If I make sounds, if I just put random sounds together, you're not going to understand what I say. Okay, so speech and language is a finite set of symbols that there is prior agreement on that this is what it's going to be, and it has a network effect, and within that network effect, people understand and they can process it. Okay. There is also some other hypothesis that it was essentially some kind of some symbolism to do with trade, maybe a tax stamp, a license, and so on. And this is mathematically it's unlikely because we have about 4,500 to 5,500 inscriptions, of which about 4,000 are seals, and seals are tablets, and in 1,000 sites or more than 1,000 years, that means 4 licenses are issued every 1,000 years. So it just wouldn't make sense to call it a license or anything like that. And of course, we don't have all the excavated. Mohenjo-daro, I think, is only 30% excavated, something like that, some really small fraction. So even if you oversample it, even if it's currently undersampled, even if you increase it by 1,000 times, it doesn't make sense to call it, something related to trade or tax stamp, because any of these technologies were invented in the 1600s. So it's unlikely for anything like this to be there in 2600 BC. So do we know it's a language? So one of the claims that people who say it's not a language make is that there's not enough repetitions of signs in the same inscription. And we do see actually repetitions. We see a lot of them. If you look, if you look for them, the whether if so you can, depending on the population, you can calculate what that number is. So because the 365, it is 23 people. If it is 417, it's 25. So if there are 25 signs, they should see repetitions. But we see a lot more repetitions with a lot shorter signs. So as you can see here, you can see repetitions even in inscriptions with 4 or 5 signs, right? Sometimes even in 2 or 3 signs, you see that it is a specific kind of language, it's a specific kind of script. The non-logographic script, because logographic script like Chinese and so on have so many symbols that you will never see a repetition. Okay, and the languages like scripts like Chinese have very large number of signs, and the chances of them repeating is very low. But what we have is high frequency and small signage. There's 400 or less signs, and you see a lot of repetitions. It means it's a non-logographic. And mathematically, it has been determined by Ashraf and Sinha, which is another team, that the direction is right to left. This is also something that indicates that it's a language. Okay. We can also see many inscriptions where there are inscriptions that are the same in Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Right. To repeat, we know that the script is neither alphabetic, we know that it's vowels, okay, based on some of the inscriptions. Now that you know the kind of script, if you want to decipher it, you have to kind of guess the language. You have to know what language is suitable. You don't need to guess the language. You can try all the world's languages. It will just take you a very long time, one by one. To improve your results, you may want to guess the right language first. And one of the features of this script is that you see some short inscriptions there on the left half of the screen, and you see the same symbols combined in different inscriptions on the right half of the screen. And what you'll see is that certain sequences, they come in reverse orders. And the languages of South India, which are called Dravidian language group, they are agglutinative. Agglutinative means that there is a root for a word, there's a root and there's affixes. And the affixes come in exactly the same order. If you change the order, people cannot understand it. So as an example, like Ava means him, Avaru means them, like it's a plural marker, and Avaralli, if you add alli, that means it is inside, in them, okay? So Avaralli, people will understand, but Avalli Ra, if I change the al and the Ra, Avalli Ra, people will not understand. And this sequence of affixes is the same for all agglutinative languages, whether it's Japanese, Sumerian, Turkish, the order is exactly the same, okay? So the key is that the affixes, if they come in exactly the same order, then it is an agglutinative language. If they can be flipped around, it's not an agglutinative language, okay? And in Indus script, you see a lot of that. In particular, you see something like this. So the three small inscriptions below, you can see the symbols and they end in a jar sign. So the jar sign is some kind of a terminal sign, which is like a case ending, like an accusative case or something like that. And you can see that in the top line, these inscriptions, the portions of the inscriptions without the terminal sign, exist in that same order. So it is like Raman and Krishnan, you have Ramakrishnan. Okay, the an has been removed because you are joining two words together. So that kind of construction is called a multi-stem compound. And that exists. So in Dravidian, for example, you have only two words that can be joined like that. But in very few of the world's languages, you can join multiple of those together. In this example, you see 4 of these words joined together to create that long word at the top. Okay. So the two obvious languages that can do this are Sanskrit and German. Okay, there may be a few others, but these are the most well-known languages. So what else points to Sanskrit? So inscriptions like this, where there is a repeated symbol, they can be read in Sanskrit as a particular kind of conjugation, like a usage of verb. So for example, Sanskrit has something called lit conjugation, which is for perfect tense. So in perfect tense, what happens is the verb root is reduplicated. So for example, bhu becomes bhabha. And you also have something called the ach affix. So you can just add a and it becomes a agent. So judge is a root meaning fight. If you add it becomes judge. So there is a lot more, there are very few languages that can do this, okay? So if you try to use a Tamil dictionary for this, what happens is there are like 4 words that match this, and when you add other inscriptions that are of this format, you will not be able to go ahead. Okay, so you will hit a dead end very quickly if you use any Dravidian language to match the Indus inscriptions. So how can you decipher a language? So there's something called cryptanalysis, and this has been in use for many years, hundreds of years. So this particular code was the code of Mary Queen of Scots during the time of Elizabeth I. So it's during the Elizabethan era. And you can see in the top there are symbols A to Z, and then for common sequences there are other symbols, and there are symbols for common words like madam and so on. And this is to intentionally obfuscate what is being written. But even this was cracked by the spy master of Elizabeth I. And this was also recently deciphered using computers. Okay. Now this is a lot more complex because this has been intentionally created to obfuscate the communication. The Indus script is not this complex. It's actually simpler. It just has, we know that there was no need for them to try to obfuscate it. So how does cryptanalysis works? Essentially, you need to first find one letter, like one sign, the meaning of one sign, one or two, okay? And there's many ways to do that. One is to find the repeated symbols, because if the symbols do not repeat, you can have many matches. You can have hundreds or even thousands of matches. But when symbols repeat, there are certain patterns that have one or two matches. So that is a set of what you need to guess and try. So this example is in English because this talk is in English, but this works for any language, okay? So in our example, we have these three words here, eel, papaya, and millennium, which follow a particular pattern. So eel is just, the first letter is repeated, and then you have a second letter. Papaya has that 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2. Essentially, PA repeats, and then there is YA. And all of these are unique. So if you try to find words with the pattern 1, 1, 2 in the dictionary, you'll only find eel. If you try to find a word with the pattern 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, you'll only find papaya. And but what if there's no such word in the set of inscriptions? What if there's no such word? You can still do it by looking for a set of words that give you that uniqueness. Okay, so I've shown another example at the bottom with the letter A, S, and T. They create these 4 words which give you unique values for A, S, and P. Okay, so once you get the first letter, then it's pretty straightforward. You find other words where only one symbol is unknown. So in our example, let's say we had eel, so we have E and L as the known symbols. And then let's say we find 2 other inscriptions, one with the unknown symbol between L and E, another is unknown symbol between 2 L's. So if you look in the dictionary what matches L unknown E, you get these 3 words, li, lie, and lie. And for words ending in 2 L's, 3-letter words ending in 2 L's, you get all and ill. So the set of symbols that match the first word is EIY, and the second is AI, and the intersection of that is I. Okay, so what if you did not get a set with only one? Well, that means you have to find more words, and as long as you find more and more words, you will eventually get one answer. Okay, so that is how you solve for a symbol. Once you have that symbol, you can use that symbol and now find another word where you have only one unknown symbol. Okay, so in this example, I have chosen this example carefully to fit the screen. Okay, so depending on the language, depending on the dictionary, you may get, the first match could be, hundreds of matches. When you add another word and intersect, maybe you'll get 20, 25. The third one may reduce it to 2 or 3. The fourth one, you may get the single value. So you have to try different inscriptions and it's a little bit of trial and error, but you will get the value. So, but this is it. This is the simplicity of it. Find inscriptions with only one unknown. Find the matches, intersect, repeat. You will get them all. Okay, it's tedious, but it is very simple. Now, how do you know what you have done is correct? Like let's say you have deciphered and got all the values. How do you know it's correct? So there's something called a unicity distance in cryptanalysis. It says that you cannot read more information than the uncertainty you can introduce into a system. In other words, if you read more than you can fake through the key, then it is correct. Okay, so it seems like common sense. And the good thing about it is you can measure it using, principles of information theory. So the Indus script can be modeled as a homophonic cipher, which would bring the unicity distance just under 500, or a polyalphabetic cipher, which brings it just under 3000. It comes to around 2800 something. And we have comfortably read more than twice of the. We read about 6,500. About half the corpus has been translated. Okay. So if you look at how the decipherment progresses, the first sign we deciphered is the jar sign, because we had this triple sign, which is very rare. You need 3 sounds that repeat and for it to be a legal word. And then, with all those other 2, the fact that it's at the end of many words gave us the value, what it is. It's right? And using that, we got the value of the stick sign. Because in the second one, that is the only unknown sign. So we keep doing that over and over and over until we get all the signs. So once you get the value of the sign, what you can do is you can try to find the word that represents this as a pictogram. Okay, so what looks like for example, the third sign that starts with the we found Dhanwan, okay, which is a bow, and so on. You can just give them names and try to reconstruct the sign names. When you arrange all the sign names, there's something very interesting. You see that the names are very, very close. They're very close. It's as if they got mispronounced, maybe because there are people speaking different dialects, and they ended up creating a slightly different sign. Okay, the sign that looks different, it sounds the same, but it looks different because its meaning is different. Okay, so especially like the Tandula for rice becomes close to Tardula, which means fighter, and Tardulia, which means it's a drum. Tada, which means that little thing you make the sound with, and so on. So it's very, very close, and it is also possible that to memorize this list, they may have changed some of this and made it more compact. Okay. So one of the curious things that happened was I noticed that the values of the Indus signs is very similar to values of the Brahmin signs. Of course, Indus has more signs, but if you pick the closest sign for the same sound, you get the stable. So it's as if Indus signs at some point there were too many of them for a particular sound, so they decided to standardize it, and they created Brahmi. Okay. Now let's talk about what's in the inscriptions. So the long inscriptions, which are 10 or larger, they refer to some religious idea that is which are found in the Vedas. That idea is there. Doesn't mean, I don't know if they actually had the Vedas at that time. But the interesting thing is all the inscriptions are grammatically correct. So gloss the grammar below with the Ashtadi rules and all the declensions and so on, so that people can examine. This has been out for 2 years. I have not received any complaints about this. And just to let you know how to read these inscriptions, essentially the sound of the consonant is you read it with the A, just like in Abugida. And if there's a vowel sign after it, you just read it with that vowel. So something similar is found in Tamil excavated sites. For example, here is this Varani Yakala, and the E, the long E, is denoted by adding a sign next to the consonant. So why do we think this is correct in addition to the math of the initiated distance, which is a kind of abstract thing for people who are not into that field? More obvious thing is something like this, where you have the grammatically correct endings for all the grammar. So for example, Maka is neutral gender. So you would write as Makam and singular, as you can see below, and when it's plural, you would make it Makani, right? If it was feminine, you would have, if it was masculine, you would make it, it is not masculine, but I'm just giving an example. It would be Makan and so on. So it would change according to the gender. So the gender has to match when you do the plural in Sanskrit, okay? This is another example. So when you do a declension is like, Prathama, Dvitiya, like, and so on. So this is tu panaihi, which is panaihi, pana is is a drink, and panaihi is using a drink as an instrumental. And because it's masculine, it is written as panaihi. If it was feminine, it would have been written as panabhihi, okay? So that gender matches when they do the declension also, not just the singular plural. Another one of the rules of grammar is that the adjectives and the nouns have to be in the same case, okay? So here in the upper example, you have both of them in accusative, right? And this lower example, you have both of them in the vocative, okay? So vocative is when you pray, it's in vocative. Like you say Shiva, you don't say Shivam, okay? So that's exactly what it is. When you conjugate, this is much harder to arrange. If you are trying to force decipherment, this is one of the hardest things to arrange. So this is when you're talking in third person, in terms of like a verb. So verbs have persons, okay, like first person, second person, third person. So when it is in the third person, you're talking about somebody doing something. That person has to be in the nominative, okay? So it has to be Rava Ha here, for example, okay? And if you're talking to someone about something, like it's a prayer, or if it's a something called you're invoking something, then it has to be in the second person. So here Rava is, without the Visarga, is the second person. And when you're talking about yourself, it has to be in the first person, okay? So here, for example, Naman and Ara, they are in the first person, okay? Then this is called Kradanta. Kradanta is just creating words out of verb roots, okay? And you see that they have used different, these are very common, you can see them in ashtadia.com. They use lute, shanaj, which is someone who's doing something, ghai, which represents abstract noun, all of that from the roots, and they have created it according to grammar, okay? This is essentially, so all of those we saw, most of them are lot lakara, which is like imperative. It's like telling someone to do something, like either praying or commanding or something. These are other conjugations. So lit is perfect, and lung is past, lat is present, and so on. So there are other lakaras also. Now, in addition to all this, there are, so far the things we have seen are, well, you could consider them classical grammar, classical Sanskrit. Now, these are very few, there are few, but they have Vedic forms also. So this is, for example, late lakara. Late lakara has been replaced with Vidling and imperative in classical. Okay, but that form is attested in a few seals as well. Okay, and the other one is something called injective. Injective is also attested, in at least one inscription. Now let's talk about the words that we see in the inscriptions. So these are rare Rigvedic words that don't exist even in the later Vedas or other inscriptions. These are purely, most of them at least, are found only in the Rigveda. Okay, so these are all attested in various inscriptions. These names also are attested. By the way, I have not shown all of them. I'm just filling the slides. These are names that are attested in the various inscriptions. One is Aina is a name of a people in Mahabharata. Vamra and Tanva are Rigvedic poets. And then there are various names of different deities that we know from Itihasa books, Mahabharata, Ramayana, all of this stuff, even Vedas. These are all various names that there are many more, like the Chakra for Indra and so on. I'm not noted off. There's Bharani, which is a constellation and so on. And these are names that are not attested, at least as far as I know, in any of the literature. Okay, and they're very interesting. So, calling Indra face striker, it is one of his acts in the Rigveda. He strikes the face of one of his enemies. Calling Rudra as someone who gives tears, like Rudra is one who makes you cry, right? Calling sun Ahatman, which is soul of the day, and so on. So these are names that I found that are from attributes of deities that we recognize. So that is basically my presentation, and I hope you had, I'm sure this will be available online. You can look at it again, but I think we have some time for questions.
Is there any queries or questions? Is there any query?
Hello, Yajna. Congrats,
Yes.
you are doing wonderful job. Let us hope you are cracking the ice. So, I am Jeevan Kharakwal, was excavating at Kanmer, Gujarat. I had an opportunity to be here in the conference, and we have been hearing about you for quite some time now. And good that you are making good attempt. I hope everything is going right way, because the technicalities you are making understand is difficult. It is going overhead actually. But I have only two simple questions to you. Can you tell us what is written on that Dhalavira signboard?
Okay.
The other thing is that among the Hadappans, the maximum number of seals belong to the unicorn. And the script is same in most of the cases. What that reads?
Right. So Dholavira sign says Raka Vararaka Araras, which means gem of chosen gems entrance. And that I think is appropriate for that location, because they were doing, they were creating jewelry with carnelian and exporting it to Sumerian and Mesopotamian cities. And so that is one. The other is the unicorn is.
No, wait. That means that, sorry, that means you are saying it's a city name. Are you saying the Dhalavira signboard is reading city name? Are you saying that?
No, it's saying Raka Vararaka Araras. Raka is a gem, Vararaka is a chosen gem. Okay. Araras is an entrance. So Raka Vararaka Araras means gem of chosen gem entrance.
Okay.
So it's an entrance to the city. Name of the entrance is Raka Vararaka.
Okay.
Now, you have to understand that the name is very similar to Dwaraka. So in the old days, a lot of the names were city names were called, start with Dwara. So so if you guys know about Halebeedu in Karnataka, its original name was Dwara Samudra. Okay, so Dwara and something is a common name for a city. So Dwaraka could have been Dwara Raka, and Dholavira could have been Dwara Vararaka also. So I don't know if there's any connection, but if I have to translate just the signboard, it says gem of chosen gems entrance.
Okay. And what about the, signs on the unicorn seal?
Right. So unicorn, there are, I think, hundreds of seals, and they all say different things. Some of them are just 2-3 signs long, some of them are very long, what I said. So you can read every sign at my website, indusscript.net, and you can choose, you can browse through it, you can see, it's going to keep getting updated and get more and more features. But there is nothing connected to the unicorn that's written on it. It's generally, it talks about some prayer to Rudra or something like that. Everyone is different. Every single inscription is different. There's really 100 of them. So a unicorn most likely is the insignia of the ruling government or something like that of that time.
Okay, two things you said. One, you declined that this is logosyllabic, if I understood rightly.
Yes.
The other thing, we have been hearing from Vasco Parpola that this is closer to Tamil or Dravidian script rather than Sanskrit. But you are, I think, the first man saying this is closer to Sanskrit. So how do you handle this earlier phenomena?
No, I just addressed it in the talk, but essentially, I'm not the first one to say it's Sanskrit. First one was S.R. Rao.
Yes.
And then there are many others who have said it's Sanskrit. Okay. The key evidence was given by a person named Stephen Bonta, who's a good friend of mine. And he showed that the Indus inscriptions present evidence of multi-stem compounding. So multi-stem compounding means if you can have, for example, Veera Dhira Shura and Shura Veera Dhira as a title for a king, or any permutation of that. So that kind of arrangement you see in rearrangement you see in the Indus inscriptions. And that is possible only in present day. There are 2 languages that can do it, Sanskrit and German. So no other, it will not make sense to do that like if you take pure Dravidian words, right? Like you can't create that kind of structure. So that is one. And I was able to extend that to show that it's not just, it's not just not Dravidian, it's not any agglutinative language. So agglutinative language means that the affixes are regular. Like for plural there is always one, for gender, female gender there is one, for locative there is one, and they come in the exact same order. Okay, so I've shown that the inscriptions are not, they show, because they interchange their positions, it cannot be any agglutinative language. It cannot be Sumerian, Elamite, Japanese, Turkish, none of that. It can only be, literally it can only be German and Sanskrit that we know of.
Okay. In the Mesopotamian text, the Indus area is called Meluha. This is what popularly we know. So do you find this Meluha anywhere in the text? Do you agree to that word?
So I haven't read all the text. And by the way, Meluha is actually Melaha. The symbol for Luh and the symbol for La are the same. So Melaha means union.
What does it mean?
Mela means union, Mela, right? Mela is union. So it's like union of the city-states.
Okay.
Like Kumbh Mela, yes. Mela means coming together.
Okay.
So it's still a name. For example, there was a person named Mela also in, a person who has gone there, settled down. His name was also Mela. So it's like, it's a personal name also, which can only happen with the, Sanskrit language. So it's like you call people Milan today, it's the same thing. So Mela is a proper name in Sanskrit.
No, but are you finding this word anywhere in the script?
I have not seen all of it, so I've read about 50%. I have not seen that word yet. See, that was, you understand, that was their name for the Indus traders. And whether it's a trading federation, which is Mela, or the whole country, we don't know yet.
There are a number of seals they have been discovered from Mesopotamia, and they have connections with the Indus people. Have you seen some of them?
Yeah. So the seals from Mesopotamia, some of them are also in Sanskrit, but a lot of them are in Sumerian and Akkadian. And by the way, this is not my discovery. Rajesh Rao showed that they have a different structure and they are not the same language. Okay. And when I tried to read it, I could not read it. So everything from Indus Valley, so far I've read as Sanskrit, but everything in Mesopotamia, some of the things I could only read it as Sumerian or Akkadian. And that is because they imported the technology, and in the beginning they were using Indus inscriptions, and then they started writing their own inscriptions, their own words using Indus language. And some of them they even started writing in linear A also. Okay, so it is the export of our the sealing technology to the Near East.
Okay.
Raman, Vandan, Raman.
Proto-cuneiform is
make much of
9th
a
millennium
difference.
BC. It's before your Indus scripts. How are you saying that they are the source?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear it.
Can you tell us about proto-cuneiform? In this case, you are saying that they copied the Indus script, but it seems to be the reverse. They are much older.
Right. No.
Proto-cuneiform.
So proto-cuneiform is from 3500 BC or so, right? And eventually they made cuneiform, but they did not import the writing. They imported the technology of creating the seals, and the seals, whether they used for currency or whatever else, that because Indus traders were going there, they would give them those seals. And the first few seals you find there, they have Indus inscriptions in Indus language. And just forget my decipherment for now. This is like even before my decipherment. The analysis shows that some of the inscriptions are in Indus language and some others are in a different language but using Indus symbols. Okay? So why they used Indus symbols to write their own language? We don't know. But we already knew from analysis that it was in a different language. We are just able to read it now after the decipherment.
Sir, wonderful presentation. I would like to ask you one question. So the Indus script, you are the first one to say that it is not first one. Of course, SRO. After him, you are saying that. Do you see any variation from the Harappan period up to this variation in the script, the pictograph?
Variation from what to what? Sorry, I couldn't get the last bit.
The first excavation to the recent one.
Right. So
the samples.
So Indus.
The samples you have received.
Right. So the Indus seals or inscriptions, we don't know when they were made. We know when they were discarded. Okay, and we don't know where they were made because people were traveling around, and in any Indus city, 80% of the people were immigrants from other parts of India. So they were traveling around, could be on business, could be they're just like right now people move from city to city. They were moving around and using the strontium ratio of the analysis of the teeth, they know that 80% of people were migrants in any Indus city. Okay. So what that means is you have inscriptions that are separated by 200, 300 years that are identical. You have same inscriptions that are spread out in the whole 1 million square kilometers and across time and space. So you don't know when they were made. Okay. You know when they were discarded because you can tell from the stratigraphy. But even the stratigraphy, the first few excavations were very destructive. They didn't measure the depth or anything like that. So we don't have stratigraphy for a lot of the inscriptions. So it is not easy to see if there's variation across time and space. It may be possible for some, but that's a different kind of expertise. But what I can tell you is that from observing inscriptions, you can see the signs getting simpler and simpler and simpler. Okay, so for example, there's a sign of a horse. In some of the inscriptions, it is carved with great detail, and as time passes, it gets more and more abstract. Okay, same for many other signs. So that is one. The other, you see signs of cursive. Now, what is cursive? Is when you write on a soft material, a line that is supposed to be straight will curve. So, for example, if you write A, you can do it with 3 straight lines, but if you write it with a pen, it will curve inward. So you see that with Indus signs as well. And if you're carving something, there is no need to curve the letter, okay? Because it's the picture it represents has straight lines. So if you're carving it, it's because the person who wrote it, he wrote it in a cursive form, and the scribe who's actually carving it, right? He simply replicated what this person had written. So you see evidence of cursive, you see evidence of abstraction, you see evidence of rotation, and rotation happens because there is no, the space is very limited. So if as you start writing, you realize that I'm not going to be able to fill this space, or this is not going to be sufficient. So you rotate it to improve the space. Okay, so we see all of that.
Okay, one more question. So in Tamil, the Dravidian languages, often you can see the pratyaya an, like Raman, Satan, Nagan. So in Kizhadi also, the potteries, whatever we have got, some are inscribed with the Nagan, Satan. So in the, whatever samples you got in the Harappan sites, do you have this an pratyaya?
Yes. So the an, see, you have words ending in an, and they have a different meaning based on the word they're attached to in Sanskrit. Okay, so I'm just going to give examples. It's not 100% accurate, but for example, there is something called the Shatra or Shanach Pratyaya, which is Shatra Pratyaya, which is essentially describes the person doing an act. Okay, so that uses an as the ending, and wherever we have the an, it fits in the inscriptions, right? So if you want to find 100% equivalent, other than just that this kind of conjugation, in Sanskrit it will be right? So you would say Ramakrishnan in Tamil, you would say Ramakrishnam in Sanskrit. Now that is a modern pronunciation. In the old days, if you look at the Ashoka's inscription and so on, the Anuswara is often written as an. It doesn't have to be So in somewhere in the past, those are the same things, and over time the language has evolved. Okay, so yes, you do see the an, and they have different meanings. We can reconstruct it to the best of our ability right now, but that was thousands of years ago. We don't know exactly how they pronounced it. Okay.
Sorry, there is up to my understanding, the Shatra or Shanach Pratyaya will come for the verb. So here the Raman or Krishnan Satan, it is a noun.
Okay, so Shatra Shanach converts it into a noun actually. It's a person doing an act. So for example, what's a good example? Let's see if I can find something.
Good morning, sir. I have two questions regarding the time scale and area of the civilization. So we all know that Indus Valley civilization spanned for over a period of 2,000 years from 3300 BCE to 1300 BCE. So I think 2,000 years of time span is very long for a language to evolve so much that it can become a completely different language. So, can you see any stages of development and evolution in the language in these 2000 years of time span with the samples that you have?
No, that's a good question. So we see some old forms like late Lakara, and over time we see less of that. Okay. So the issue is, like I said, you can't date most of these things because of the stratigraphy was not preserved. But did the language change? I think it definitely changed. But what happens is when something is written, the orthography doesn't have to change, even though you pronounce it differently. And you see this in English, for example, you have the same spellings of like, Middle English, but you pronounce it differently today, okay? So that is one. The other is, if these are really slogans, like they have the religious ideas, they never have to change. So for example, you still use Satyameva Jayate, right? That is a very old thing from Chandogya Upanishad. But when you're putting that on your government, your insignia, it's still the same. You don't change it to like Hindi, right? So even if the speech changes, it doesn't mean the orthography changes, especially for things like this.
Okay, and regarding the area, we say that the civilization spanned for about 1.3 million square kilometers, which is a very large area. So
Yes.
there cannot be just one language which could have been spoken throughout the entire area. And even if it was so, there could have been a lot of dialects and accents differing from place to place.
Right.
So what's your take on that?
Yeah, and we see evidence of that. So one of the things that we see is that you see people using the same signs for aspirated and unaspirated, right? So the and the, they use the same sign. And for Shasha Saha, they interchange all the signs. Now this effect we also see during Prakrit times, where Prakrit people were using Shasha Saha, they were interchanging it. Okay. And today also, for example, in Tamil Nadu itself, there is no actual phonetic difference between aspirated and unaspirated, even voiced and unvoiced, like ka and ga is essentially the same. So when people with these different dialects, they use the script, they will mix these letters, and we see evidence of that. That is one, okay? And so there's other developments that we expect, that there may be even 50% is not right, but we expect at least a few Dravidian words also, okay? And until that is done, I'm not going to claim that it was also there. But the reason I'm kind of hopeful is because of this Kiladi, we found all these Indus signs. So, it is, and people, there are so many migrants. I don't see why, people are not migrating there to, you also see the Mysore stones, and, they made products out of it. You see from Kolar gold, they're making jewelry out of it. So it looks like it was all integrated and people are migrating everywhere. So I am waiting to see really a few more Dravidian words, and then, but definitely there were different Prakrits, there were different, I don't want to use the word Prakrit, but there were different, dialects of Sanskrit that they were speaking.
You said that the writing is from right to left,
yes,
and not left to right. And you
Correct.
also said it is similar to Sanskrit. But Sanskrit
Yes.
is left to right. And how do you conclude that it is from right to left?
Right, I showed that in the presentation. So this is a mathematical property. There's something called the Gini coefficient, and it can determine the direction of writing regardless of the type of script, whether it's logographic, cuneiform, whether it's syllabic, alphabetic, abjad. It will tell you what the direction is. Okay, and this research was done by Ashraf and Sinha, and they showed that it's right or left. That is one. That's a very solid mathematical result. The other is when there's the same inscription on 1 and 2 lines, okay, then you can detect that it can only be read right to left. Okay, and there are other signs also, like the signs crowding on the left side and so on. Okay, so we are 100% sure that most but not all of inscriptions were right to left. Now sometimes in some places they were left to right, like when it runs out of space and they fold to the next line can be left to right. That's called Boaster of down writing. Okay, now talking about Sanskrit, the early Brahmi was right to left. In fact, in Kiradi, there was a inscription in Sanskrit, Brahmi, that says Arusham, which is the red color of the rising sun or the cows or whatever, and that is written right to left. Okay, so early Brahmi was right to left. So the switch of the direction happened after Brahmi. It didn't happen, at least we've not seen. So in this script we see few left to right also. You can say that mostly right to left, some left to right also existed. Brahmi, the old Brahmi is right to left, and at some point they switched, and most likely they switched because they started using ink or like a wet substance to write. So if you're right-handed, if you write from right to left, your hand will smear what you just wrote. So people switch the direction of writing when they change the materials.
Thank you, sir.
One question. Any well-developed language has to establish a relationship between sound, meaning, and grammar. The present languages, we establish these three in a language. How do we establish the relationship between three factors in the Indus language? Whether there was a sound there or only graphical form. There may be graphical form and meaning and grammar. There may be three combined together, or sound and meaning and grammar. So which kind of language existed on those days? When we don't have any idea about the spoken language, but there will be language in one of the form, as I mentioned.
Okay, sure. So the language, as I said, the Indus script can be read as Sanskrit. Okay, the sounds are the sounds of Sanskrit. The signs in the script stand for particular sounds of Sanskrit. Like for ka, there's a sound, and so on. And so it doesn't. If you saw the presentation or if you read my paper, it is not very different from Brahmi. So there is nothing that is shocking or surprising about the Indus script. Everything in the script are things we already know from other scripts. Okay, so it's just that the number of signs they had is a lot more, which is very normal and it's characteristic of any script developed from scratch. So if you are, for example, if you are Phoenicians, you know about the Egyptian script. You can standardize a script that is very compact and suited to your language. But if you're Egyptian and you're creating a script from scratch without the knowledge of other scripts, you will create thousands of symbols. Okay. Same thing for linear A is like that, Chinese is like that, Mayan script is like that. Any script you create without knowledge of other scripts will have many symbols. Okay. So there is nothing shocking, surprising, new, different about the Indus script. It is just a regular script. In fact, it is better than many of these other scripts. It is not as good as modern scripts because we are 6,000 years ahead. Okay, we have fixed a lot of the issues.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for your outstanding presentation on deciphering the Indus script as a cryptogram. Your groundbreaking research and expertise in the field have truly inspired us, and we are grateful for the opportunity to learn from you, sir. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Can I start?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Aruna Tamilni, your host for this session. So we are going to dive into the most fascinating aspect of Indus civilization, the Bronze studies. When we think ancient civilization, we often picture grand cities, intricate scripts, but the technological advancements played a crucial role, and even it has an equal vital role. This session will shed light on one such remarkable innovation, metallurgy. The mastery of bronze metallurgy not only facilitated the creations of durable tools and weapons, but also played a crucial role in the development of art and culture within the Indus Valley civilization. Now, to guide us through this remarkable journey into the world of Harappan metallurgy, we have an exceptional scholar with us today, Dr. Diya Mukherjee. Dr. Mukherjee is a postdoctoral research associate at the National Institute of Advanced Studies, Bangalore, specializing in archaeometallurgy, experimental archaeology, and ethnoarchaeology. Her work focuses on how ancient civilizations, particularly the Harappans, mastered metalworking, a skill that shaped their economy, society, and even their identity. She has been awarded prestigious grants, including one from Indian National Trust for Art and Culture Heritage Academy and Clogg and Bequest Grant. She has also participated in major excavations at Karsola and Rakhigarhi. Her research has been published in renowned journals such as Crucible, History Today, and Deccan College Bulletin. With such an impressive background, I'm sure we are in for a session that challenge our perspectives on ancient technology and innovation. Now, without further delay, let's welcome Dr. Diya Mukherjee to take over the session and bring to light the secrets of Harappan metallurgy.
At the very outset, let me express my sincere gratitude to, am I audible? To Professor Shinde and Dr. Ramadevi for giving me an opportunity to share my research with you all. Now with that, let me dive into my research on the lost wax technique. So next please. So first comes the question of site, as from yesterday we are talking about archaeological site, and each and individual site are very important because of its site functionality. Each and every site talks about its function. For example, the site of Rakhigarhi, as Professor Shinde was talking about it yesterday, it is a large settlement. Again, the site of Lothal is a port town. So this is based on, the site functionality is based on the site purpose. So therefore, studying individual sites are most important in order to understand the entire Harappan culture. And each site has its own regional cultural histories. And we do overall, when we study this from individual sites to all the sites of the Harappan culture, we see some similarities. That is, in the pottery, we do see the similarities. We see similarities in the metallurgical composition, assemblage, and we also see some differences. Like yesterday, Professor Kharakwal was talking about Saurath and Sindh Harappan. Why this distinction? The distinction is because we are seeing differences in the entire Sindh region, mostly because of its environmental reasons, and then we are seeing also in the Saurath region. So therefore, when we are talking about regional context, becomes very important in archaeology. And also, this have connected relationship. It's not like one site has no connection with other. So the connected relationships are very important, and this regional orientation to archaeological record can be understood through sampling methods, and we can develop hypotheses and test them and find what's the relation between them. Now, when we are talking about a technology, it is a tradition. It is a tradition which is inherited by the craftsmen from generation to generations. And this is a chain operation of that technical tradition that we see, and that we call it as a craft. Maybe it's bead, maybe it's pottery, maybe it's metals, and this is also an expression of social group. What I mean by expression of social group is the identity of craft and craftsman can never be segregated. It is always merged, and the loss of identity of one causes the loss of identity of another. For example, if I give the example of Udaipur, there is a place called Kasaro Ki All. So they are the brass metal crafters, and they are probably the last generation who are working on that. So if this craft vanishes into the sunset, the identity of this craftsman also vanishes, because they doesn't know any other craft apart from this. So that is the reason why it is expression of a social group and the identity of a social group. And of course, we have the distribution of the society, these crafts. Like if I take the name of Swami Malai, what comes to your mind when I say it's Swami Malai? Exactly. So we already associate a place with a particular craft, and that is becomes the identity of the region.